Hi everyone. In this lecture, I'll explain you how we are going to utilize the solar energy in a direct form. So directly when I'm utilizing the solar energy, there are two ways. One is either we collect the solar energy in the form of heat energy, or we will convert the solar energy into electrical energy. These are the two ways we utilize the solar energy in a direct form. So in the first one, that the solar energy is collected in the form of heat energy. In that there are two types. One is a flat plate collector. Second one is a focusing collector. It just collects the solar radiation such that heat energy will be formed. So in that the first one is flat plate collector. So in this, I'll just explain you the construction of this first. It is a simple construction. The main part in this is this, the absorber plate. This absorber plate is generally made up of copper, aluminum or steel which is having a good thermal conductivity. And this absorber plate is coated with a black color such that it can absorb all the radiations. Here there is a tube, the water tubes. In this water tube the water will be flowing. This tube are connected to overhead tank. This tube is connected to overhead tank. From that tank, whatever the water is there, that starts flowing through the tube. So that is how the water will be flowing inside the tubes. This tube and the absorber plate is always in contact. So what happens if this absorber plate gets heated? This heat will be transferred to the plate, the tubes, and the water which is flowing inside the tube, again that water is in contact with the tube. So if the tube is getting heated, the water also gets heated. That is how we collect the solar radiation and in the form of heat energy. And this is the transparent plate. This is the transparent plate. It is made up of toughened glass, usually around 4 mm thick, and there is a thermal insulation here so that whatever the heat is transferred to the water tube, it should not be lost. So that is the reason there is a thermal insulation such that the heat loss can be avoided by this thermal insulation. So coming to the working principle, this principle is very simple. In this flat plate collector we are going to heat the water which is flowing in the tube. So, as the solar radiations are falling on this transparent glass, the name itself explains that it transfers the radiation. It will not reflect. It is a good transmitter. So, as the solar radiations are falling on this glass, this plate, it starts transmitting. The radiation will be transmitting, such that whatever the radiations are incident on this, it will be transmitted and it falls on the absorber plate. And since this absorber plate is made, it is covered with a black color, the perfect black color, it absorbs all the radiations. Since it is absorbing all the radiations, it is converted into in the form of it is converted in the form of heat energy. So this absorber plate gets heated. What happens as the solar radiations are falling on this? Of course, maximum amount of radiations are absorbed, but some amount of radiations will be reflected. So as these radiations are reflecting, as these radiations are reflecting, again it is a glass, so it has to be transmitted back. But this is made up of toughened glass with around 4 mm thickness. So whatever the radiations are falling on this, it again starts reflecting. That is how we are not gonna lose any solar radiations. As effective as possible, we are gonna absorb. This absorber plate will absorb the radiations effectively, because the reflected radiations will be again it will be reflected back to the absorber plate. That is how the absorber plate utilizes all the solar radiations and it gets heated. When this gets heated, this water tube are in contact. These water tubes are in contact with the absorber plate. Even this water tube gets heated. And since the water is flowing, obviously this water is in contact with the tube wall. So that heat again transfers to water. That is how the water gets heated. So this is a simple working principle. So moving on to the next type of collector, that is concentrating collector. So what this means, the concentrating collectors is nothing but the solar radiations which is falling on some surface will be focused to one particular area, a small area, right? You can just take the example of this in the magnifying lens. This is a magnifying lens. You might already know this. So what happens as the solar radiations are falling on this, or it is a convex lens, the magnifying lens. As the solar radiations are falling on this lens, those radiations will be converged, right? It will be transmitted through this lens, but as it is transmitting through the lens, those radiations will be converged. So whenever it is focused to a small area on a paper, on a piece of paper, since this much of radiations are focused to very small area, this solar radiations, it is having a heat energy. That heat energy can burn the paper, right? That much of energy, that much of heat energy, the solar radiations will have whenever it is focused to a small area. So the same principle we are utilizing in this concentrating collector. What happens? The solar radiations, as it is falling over this surface, it is called as parabolic collector. As the solar radiations are falling on this surface, this is made in the shape in such a way that however the solar radiations are falling on this surface, it will be reflected to a smaller area. This is a tube. Okay, it is a front tube we have shown. Only the cross section we have shown. Inside the tube, the fluid is flowing, right? So this is made in a shape in such a way that it will be reflected to a very small area on this tube. This tube area itself is a very small area. So this much of solar radiations are focused to a smaller area. It is very similar to this. Only difference is that whatever the radiations are falling on this lens, it will be transmitting. But in this case, whatever the radiations are falling on this surface, it is reflecting. That is the only difference. Other than that, both are very similar. Here also, we are focusing the solar radiations to a small area. Here also, we are focusing this solar radiations to very small area. So that is the reason the collective of solar radiations is heating the water tube, the fluid tube. So because of this, the fluid tube, because it is a smaller area, the small area gets heated so quickly that this heat can be again transferred to fluid. That is how the fluid will be heated. And this is generally effective than the flat plate collector because there the solar radiations are absorbed by a larger area, but in this case it is absorbed by a smaller area. That is how this is more effective than the flat plate collector.